Welcome back. Now, the number of attacks by Fulani herdsmen across the country is growing astronomically. At the moment, there are more herdsmen attacks now than Boko Haram attacks across the country. Another dimension to the herdsmen attacks is that it is not restricted to a particular part of the country. Virtually every part of the country is now being affected. Of course, this is understandably so because of their nomadic lifestyle, actually. Just recently, herdsmen overran some villages in a local government area known as Gashaka in Taraba State, northeast Nigeria. While the official number of deaths from the attacks was put at 15, eyewitnesses' account puts the figure at 44. Now, before this latest attack, there was a much deadlier one in Agatu in Benue State, north-central Nigeria. Witnesses say at least 100 persons were killed when herdsmen overran villages in the area, shooting anyone they found and burning down houses. It was actually not the first time communities in Benue State would be attacked in such a fashion. We actually went to Agatu shortly after the attack, and this is what we found. Take a look. Destroyed houses, burnt vehicles. These are some of the scenes that greet you as you enter the Agatu community in Benue State, Nigeria's north central. The community, which used to be home to thousands of people, has now been abandoned following attacks from suspected Fulani herdsmen. The herdsmen spared nothing when they invaded the community in late February this year.
They came to Okokulu first of all, killed many people, destroy houses, and the following day they stepped to Agatu here. And that very day, the very day they came to Aku here, they came with two helicopters at the same time. And after the helicopter land, much more Fulani begin to come. And as they came, they begin to kill people, coming out with bombs, blasting everywhere. Even right to Agugbe, they went to Agugbe there, that was the same day, destroying house, killing people. So, in the next day, they went to Atudugbeho and Ugboju. They killed a lot of our people. And these people came with machine guns, and bombs.
The attacks, which killed hundreds and left virtually all the survivors homeless, has left a deep-rooted mark in the minds of the people. Among the survivors is Bartholomew. His house is in complete ruins. He says he only escaped death by the whiskers.
I was at home before this thing began happen. Before I ran to the bush here, you just see Fulani. I begin pursue people in here. That's why we leave the house before them burn the house like this. They killed some many of our boys, killed many of our men here before we come back.
Other survivors are now camped in 3 different IDP camps in neighboring Apa local government area. With virtually all they had labored for all their lives now gone, they have to start life all over again. And that would certainly be a tough struggle.
Actually, if government can assist us, because this is a blow to us, because it's what we don't expect. So if they can assist us, we thank God.
Even though security forces have partially chased the herdsmen to the boundary between Benue and Nasarawa states, some of the herdsmen could still be seen with their cattle still grazing in the community.
This is a season for our people to come back home to start farming. And without farming, Agatu is nobody. So we believe in farming and we keep all our occupation as farming. So right now we need the intervention of government to deploy much more soldiers and policemen. That they should stand for Agatu because we believe that we are one Nigerian.
For now, Agatu remains quiet. More security agents have been deployed to patrol the communities. Some of those who fled their communities after the attacks are returning, but they are finding out that their community is no longer what it once was. Rebuilding would surely be a tough task for many here who rely on farming for their survival. Well, joining me now to discuss the issue of this herdsmen attacks that we've been having in recent times is Nigeria's former security expert, Dr. Onai Komo. Doctor, thank you very much for joining us on the program. Let me start by asking you, Doctor, it would appear that we are gradually moving from Boko Haram attacks to herdsmen attack, because the frequency, with which we're having these attacks is becoming very disturbing.
Yes, it's a very unfortunate trending that we have in this regard. The herdsmen problem has been there for so very many years, for at least, as far as I remember, as long as 15, 20 years. But what has changed now is the introduction of violence into the relationship between herdsmen and farmers around the country. 10 years ago, I was doing research and talking about herdsmen violence in Delta State. And now, it has blown out of proportion. It has grown out of proportion, epitomized by what happened in Agatu, where almost 1,000 persons were slaughtered in that local government. So again, the problem here, you are right, DEJI, we are moving in the direction of another major security threat that's going to confront this country. It's going to engage our resources the way Boko Haram has depleted our resources. Take, for example, once upon a time, Boko Haram was a very little annoyance, and it could have been taken care of at that level. But things were allowed to degenerate to a level where we now have to engage the whole world community. And like today, 14th April, we have the unfortunate anniversary of second year in captivity of those girls from Chibok. And of course, we have them, their video released with them looking very pregnant. So, but these were things that could have not come our way if we had attended to it promptly. And that is the same problem we are seeing replayed in the government's aloofness and non-caring nature about the herdsmen crisis. And it's something which really should engage attention of the government, academics, security thinkers, and certainly you, the media, also at this point in time.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It would appear the government is not giving this issue the kind of seriousness it deserves. It would appear we might be playing with a time bomb here, because, these attacks have been going on. The attackers would appear to be unrestrained. operating with impunity. Almost every week you hear of one attack. The latest, of course, is the one that happened in Taraba State in the local government called Gashaka. We're being told that about 44 persons were killed in that attack. What do you make of the way the government is handling it?
Well, DEJI, that's exactly my point here, that the government is handling it in an unserious manner. I think that's what it is. And there are so many things here. For example, I think coming together or just coming up with a creative solution to this messy problem is challenging to them. It's very difficult for them. But like I always say, if you have a messy, ill-structured problem that cannot lend itself to simple means and end solution, then get the people who have the mental muscle to put this kind of solution together for you. And Nigeria is blessed. Nigerians are one of the most mentally endowed people in this whole world. Even in America, it's so acknowledged. So why is it that when we come to our local problems here, we are not able to use those same Nigerians to design solutions for this problem? Now, design a solution for a problem, because you have to always figure into problem solving or problem structuring. You have to figure into it the constraints in the problem. What are the constraints in the environment? We know there are several constraints here. There are ethnic colorations. There are economic issues here. Some people feel like the herdsmen have a right to pass through colonial grazing routes and graze their herds. Well, that's fine. But what happened to property rights? The colonialists, they didn't have the kind of democracy we have today here in Nigeria. The colonialists were totalitarians. They did whatever they liked, And now, what about the issue of armed violence, that is a proliferation of small and light weapons. You know, I mean, I heard a story from a general, a retired general, where he had gone to Onisha to buy AK-47. He's from Benue State, to protect his people. By the time he got there, he heard that Fulani herdsmen had bought a whole container load of AK-47 rifle. Now, tell me, do you need? I thought herdsmen rear their cattle with sticks, not with AK-47. So, you know, when you have this kind of capability, you have deadly force capability in the hands of, you know, people who are not trained to handle that. They are not security officials. Then you have a problem, because, and that's what we have right now. Much of the violence is because there is a lot of weapons, you know, unaccounted for weapons out there, and they are being used. I actually was passing through on the 31st of December 2015. I was riding between Asaba and Edo State, and I saw some young herdsmen, no herd, no cattle. They were strolling along the road, that's Ibuzo Road, with AK-47 rifles. And I had police escort. So we slowed down, looked at them, and the policeman said they cannot ask them why they are carrying weapons. And they went on to Edo State, where I was going. So, of course, Edo State, we even just had a clash recently in Edo State. We've had several in the past. And these are things that are recurring. So I think the real problem here is the government does not see there is a clear and present danger yet. Perhaps they are still waiting for some elections to be concluded before they engage in the matter of governance. But I think that's a mistake. We really need to look at these issues that are claiming lives in the country right now, and creating raw sentiments, and creating political instability, because these are the kinds of things that drive away investments from our shore. When you have people being killed, Gashaka 44, Agatu over 1,000, and so on and so forth.
Absolutely, there's no question about that at all. But let me just ask you this, and it's absolutely important. Security-wise, it surely would not be easy at all to deal with this. I mean, for the security forces to deal with this, because you look at the way these cattlemen, I mean, the herdsmen operate, they are scattered all over the country. As a matter of fact, it's not as if they are based in one place like Boko Haram, that you are absolutely sure they are in the northeast of the country. But in this case, they are everywhere, and it definitely would be difficult for the security agencies to be deployed to wherever these guys operate. And the kind of attacks we have are sporadic attacks. I mean, the kind of hit and run attack. They come to a village, attack, and then go. And before you know it, they're attacking another village in another part of the country. So these must surely be difficult for security forces to deal with.
Yes, certainly. This is a different animal here. This is a different situation, a different security challenge that we have here. The problem here, though, what is making this a much more difficult issue to deal with, is that you do have legitimate herdsmen. You have the actual herdsmen who have been living in communities all over the country for many, many years. They have been living in these communities peacefully. They've been rearing their cattle and selling meat and providing a source of protein to people in communities all around the country. Those ones are different. Now, these guys, the militant herdsmen, now this is my theory. It's not, I've not proven it yet, but we're beginning to gather evidence in this regard. We have people from all over the country, all over West Africa, who are coming in through our porous borders. And because they look, and some of them are actually Fulani, they claim that they are Fulani herdsmen. They speak the Fufude language also. And they are able to go, these guys, of course, you know, their terrain is the bush. That is they are able to go through the bush. So these are the people who, to my mind, are creating a lot of problems. Now, we have this herdsmen situation also, which is brought in by what do you call it, ethnic clash between neighbors who live, of course, you know, brothers and brothers, they fight. So you have the ethnic clash herdsmen issue, where people who live in a local community, they start fighting with their neighbors. That's a different one. But the more dangerous one, the more insidious one, is these foreigners. In fact, let me put it correctly, the way we see it in security, the foreign fighters, foreign terrorists who are going through our countryside and attacking and destroying communities and masquerading as herdsmen. That one is the one that really worries me a lot, because a lot of herdsmen who have been captured, they have the authorities, of course, have said they are Chadians or Malians, or people who are not Nigerians. Those are the ones that really worry me. Now, of course, we have another thing that's complicating it is the Almanjeri bomb. Many years ago, we had all these Almanjeris. We still have them. We have millions and millions and millions of them. There's no work. There's no employment. There's no cattle. And so some of them have become, but when they hear that you could go out there and you could make a living, as it were, at the expense of other Nigerians, some of them are adapting it. And that's why you have a lot of it. You've had this cattle rustling in Zamfara State, Kebbi State, in a very big way. In the northwest of the country, it's a very big problem. So this herdsmen thing is all over the country. So there are many, the herdsmen problem has to be studied carefully, because there are many variants of it. You have the clash among neighbors. That's even among those herdsmen who live in the south. Sometimes there are grazing issues. But then you have the unemployment one that is caused by this, what I call a Almanjeri bomb. And then you have the one of the, if I may, jihadis, I call them jihadis, who are infiltrating this country and causing carnage and violence all over. And I think the authorities, the intelligence officials, should really focus on those, because these are people who are destroying our system.
Let me quickly ask you this. Let's look at the herdsmen as well. I mean, whether we like it or not, you look at some of these guys, they are very poor guys. Fact is that some people actually own those cattle, they go around with the cows I'm talking about. Why are we not looking at that angle? We're not looking at the owners of, the cattle these guys rear.
Well, I think to look, you see, the owner of cattle, the owner of a herd of cattle is a very rich man. So he owns millions and millions of naira in assets. Those cattle, they're worth a lot of money. Now, he is not going to want anything that's going to create problem, because without security, you cannot have peace. You cannot do your business. So he wants everything to be peaceful, so that his head can be grazed, and then when there are buyers, they sell and they pocket their cash. But having said this, I do not see a situation where the scenario, somebody has said it before, that maybe it's the owners of the herd who are encouraging the herdsmen to engage in violence. No, it's not. Far from it, because it doesn't fit any rational calculus. Right there, the herdsmen, the owners of herd, they employ poorer members of their community to move the herd, to move the cattle for them. Now, but there are other dynamics which are feeding the violent calculus we are seeing, the violent narrative we are seeing now. And those are the dynamics I've been talking about, that you have three that I can talk about. Number one, the inter-ethnic, I don't know if you want to call it ethnic, or intersectional clash between neighbors. And then number two, the unemployment bomb, that is unemployed criminals, if you may, Fulani criminals who go into the countryside with an aim to rob people and to maintain employment. That one I call the Almanjeri bomb. And then the third one is the jihadi threat. That is these Malians and Chadians and Nigerians who come into the country, go through the countryside. They don't go into the cities. They don't go on the highways. They go into the countryside. They meet people in the bush. They attack them. They rape them. They rob them. They come out on the deserted highways, bring out weapons, fire on moving vehicles. I went to Edo State for Christmas. My ears were full with stories of people who had been killed in my own local neighborhood there in Irua by Fulani herdsmen operating in a small stretch between Irua town and what do you call it, Ugbegun, right there. It's just a small 5-kilometer stretch, but it's a desolate road which Governor Shomole fixed up for us. And, they come out from the bush, they attack vehicles, kill people, and rob them. So, when of course I confronted the authorities, what are you doing? And they say they don't have resources they don't have the police resources, law enforcement resources to combat this. That is what is happening now. So I think we need to first understand the nature of the threat, what nature of the attacks, and then how to quell them. But I think we must continue to work through the established leadership of the Fulani community, the Bieti Allah, and whoever else is out there. And neighborhoods and communities must take responsibility for their own security. This thing of waiting for President Muhammadu Buhari far away Abuja or maybe even China right now as he is to come and solve problem in Irua is unfortunate. It's not correct. We should in Irua, wherever community we are in, be able to look at the security threats in our area and then work with law enforcement resources in that area to try to solve the problem. If,
absolutely, I understand you, but very quickly, because time is we've actually run out of time, but let me just quickly ask you, the Chibok girls, it's been 2 years now since they were taken from their school in Chibok, and we just saw a recent video of 15 of the girls. You must have seen that video. What do you make of it?
Well, the video breaks my heart. It's a heartbreaker. It's very unfortunate. I feared the worst, and that was what I was seeing in that video was not cheering at all. It was very depressing. They showed us 15 girls. Well, 219 girls were seized. So if you only have 15 left, then that's that's less than 10% of the total number. I believe that's the number I gave a long time ago that, of course, they're not saying that that's all, but I gave 10%. So it means we can still find a few more. But we know what Shekau said he would do. He said it. It was on air. He said it that he would sell the girls into slavery. He married many of them off to Boko Haram commanders. Many were slain, those ones who were strong-headed, and so on and so forth. So I think I have said for a while that we must try to do some investigative actions, take some investigative steps, such that we can learn certain things and then bring closure to the families of these girls. Because the way it's being handled, and I think it's being handled wrongly, permit my French, is, we are handling it as if it's something that there's going to be much hope out there, and these girls are going to, all 219 are going to walk back one day and we'll be cheering for them. But the girls I saw that day on this thing, they had become women. They were mostly pregnant with puffy faces and so on and so forth. So these are the survivors. These are the guys who survived. And, I don't know what's going to become of them. Just like we found one odd girl out there once in a while show up in somewhere. Perhaps we might find 1 or 2 or 3, 5, 10 odd girls out there. But even the 15 we just saw on video, we're not probably going to get all of them back alive. So I just feel very sad for their families. I feel sad for them for the brutality they have endured, obviously in captivity. And I pray that, God will help Nigeria out.
But to be very candid, how else could the government handle this? Would you expect security forces, for instance, if they knew where these girls are, to storm the place? Because some people have said, look, storming that place, what about the collateral damage that you might end up losing most of these girls in the process?
Well, I don't know that their lot is better off, you know, with them being alive. I mean, we always want everybody has hope. Like we say, when there's life, there's hope. But, you know, when you are alive in a way that you are in permanent, I don't know how to say it, but I think the point is, let me go to the point you make, the security point you make. There's still an active, open investigation out here. What happened to those girls? Because I had an interview recently, which I received a lot of response from even very top military officers. And what was their complaint? Some people were even still saying that it's a conspiracy theory, that no girls were missing, that it was just a manipulation by the political elite in Borno State to win the election and so on. So there's a lot of you know, things out there, and because of the peculiar way we do our policing and security in this country, where there is no concrete evidence to back up whatever it is, it appears as if any speculation, any wild speculation out there is acceptable. But by and large, those 15 girls we saw proved that some girls were taken. Of course, we saw the former video, the one where they were chanting the Quranic verses, the old video where they were seated on the floor, when they were, with that fresh video when they were first taken. We saw those ones too. Those ones proved that they were taken, because people who said they weren't taken, I said, where did they get those girls from? Some of those girls, they were able to identify them. And like here, 3 of them were identified by their parents. So I think there is an active investigation that can be done by a crack team. Now, I have said all the brains in Nigeria are not in government. Most brains in Nigeria are outside of government. Government should go and seek those brains that can find these solutions to them. And then we'll be talking.
Well, Dr. Ikomo, thank you very much for joining us on the program, and thank you as always for your beautiful contributions. Well, that's it on the program, but if you want to watch it again, it's simple. All you just need to do is go to our website, tv360nigeria.com. You'll find the program and lots more there. You can also follow us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/TV360Nigeria. And of course, you get more videos and updates there, or on Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria, or follow us on Facebook. Our address is facebook.com/TV360 online, and on Twitter we're simply at TV360 online. We thank you very much for watching. I am DEJI360. I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.